Greetings, salutations, everybody. Happy Thursday as I'm recording this. Shift. Whoa. Frederick Ork says, they think this is what people need. Well, I always aim to give the people what they want. I suppose what I want as well. All right. Ian Wise is here. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm going to open up my Spindrift Blood Orange Tangerine. Hold on here. Let's see. There we go. All right. So yesterday, I suppose if depending on how you're watching this, yesterday live, as I recorded this, we went over some, I thought, really good advice, some different folks about how to start your first starter Hexcrawl. I thought as a follow-up to that, it would be amazing if we actually tried to put this stuff into practical use, since I think often, and I think my channel's it's a lot of advice that's kind of philosophical or things you should do, but we don't always get to drill in there and say, let's actually put this stuff into practice. So I thought that would be a fun thing to do. Hey, Orb Codex, longtime lurker. All right, glad you made it. I don't have a good sense of you guys, what's the best time to record. This works for me as it's during my lunch hour, hence the lunch hour stream of streams. But I don't know if most people are in the States or where they are in the States or in Europe or in Asia or anywhere in planets and galaxies far, far away. So I'm always glad when different people can make the chats, because really the chats are what make this stuff happen. I mean, I could, and I have just talked to myself, but prefer interaction when I can get it. Okay, so there's the window. Let me show it. I just went ahead and threw a couple things in here. I'm going to use Hex Kit this time, which I have over here. So we'll have that going on. And that, I thought just, people like Hex Kit. They ask me about Hex Kit all the time. I've had Hex Kit since it came out. I haven't had to use it or haven't used it in quite a long time. I had to go find some of the icon sets that I have. I think we'll probably use Fantasyland. So maybe a little bit futzy with there. So apologies if I kind of if you watch me and I'm just kind of struggling with Hex Kit. It's really not Hex Kit's fault. It's my fault because I haven't been in there in forever. And Terrence says they always make the chat. They are that cool. Yep, I'll give you that one. Oh, Elfbait just moved. So you're moving closer, Elfbait. I'm in Eastern time, so you went from Pacific to Central. So that's good. So I figure we start here. So we can see, let me know if people need this enlarged, embiggened, as it were. I can just embiggen it. And I thought we need to start with, Slakari says, West Coast is the best coast. I can't go with you there, Slakarius, but only because I'm an East Coast guy. West Coast is cool. I am coast agnostic, I guess, ultimately. So going by, we're going to be combining, I think, some of the stuff that we saw with the Welsh Piper, some of the stuff that we saw with the three hexes by Chicago Wiz, and then some of the guidance from Gygax 75. West Coast is an expensive coast. East Coast is an expensive coast too. Truly, if only the Central had a coast, other than the Gulf of Mexico, I suppose, depending on what you mean by Central, then that would work. So yeah, let's start with our campaign. Any of you guys have thoughts? I mean, so I think one of the things, right, I want to get, I guess, just setting some ground rules. We're just going to throw some stuff out there. I think that ultimately the process, we're just trying to get some stuff on the paper. So we're not looking for, I am not, as the leader of this expedition, I'm not particularly looking for something to be particularly eloquent. I don't care if it's cliche. We just want to get something out on the paper, which I guess is a good thing if you're starting this process for yourself. Don't worry about cliches. Don't worry about, oh, this has been done a million times. Everything's going to take on its own character because you are an individual with your own unique takes on things. Your players are individuals with their own unique takes on things. So even if you start with the most cliched thing ever, I think if you just follow your own guiding star and the stars of your players and the things of your table, I think you're going to find yourself quickly that regardless of how well worn the setup is, everything is going to go in its own interesting direction. So if in the campaign we want to say, like most fantasy campaigns are, some variation of old things have fallen, new things are rising up, I'm totally fine with that. We really just need to just want to get something out there. Oh, Seattle representing. Then Terrence says, I thought Lake Michigan was their coast. I don't know. The people in Ohio, what's the coast? What's the closest coast if you're in, say, Ohio? Actually, I have a coworker from Ohio. I should probably ask where they would go for a winter. I mean, not winter, a beachy trip. Like Michigan seems cool. It just seems cold. I don't know. Maybe in the summer. Maybe just my envisioning of Lake Michigan is just cold, 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 cold. All right. So unless someone has any particular inspiration for the campaign, I thought about just trying to pull up some stuff. I don't think I have my D30. Oh, Elfbait, look at that. Has referred to as the mid coast. So you see, I didn't even know. Let me see if I can. Is my D30? Do I have my D30? I had downloaded it, and sometimes I have to delete it through my whole schmaz of stuff. Do I still have it there? I don't think I do. So should we then go with? All right, I'm just gonna go. Yeah, sure. It's been, and we're trying to stick to about 3 sentences. Generations since the old empire fell. Here in the hinterlands, local rulers have. Let's just say actually. Hinterlands as regional authority broke down. Local lords. Let's see. Let's see. Local lords. What's the word I'm looking for? Ancient giant aqueduct. I'm just gonna, let's see, I'll just put that in there. That could be the mysterious site. All right, let's get the campaign there going. You guys are already jumping ahead to the starting settlement stuff. Let's see. Settlements. Oh. Let's see. So it's been a few generations since the old empire fell. Here in the hinterlands, How did I misspell governors? Thank you. Didn't actually change the spelling. Governor. It's been a few generations since the old empire fell. Here in the hinterlands, local lords displaced regional governors as infrastructure broke down and individual towns and villages became isolated. Now, whispers. Let's see. Cockatrice Nuggets loves D30. Yeah, I just gotta find it. I should probably in my window. Let me see if I can track it because it would help. Things I could have thought about before I hit go on the stream. But I think I still can find it. There it is. I think. I'll just pull it up here. All right, it's downloading. I've got it in the cloud, but I have to go back and catch it. It's been a few generations since the old empire fell. Here in the hinterlands, local lords displaced regional governors as the infrastructure broke down and individual towns and vigils in villages became isolated. Now whispers bring word of dark tidings. Oop, okay, there's that. So, where are you going? Okay. We could see if there's any tables in here. I also have my DMG handy. We could probably pull that in. Do we have a table of contents? Yes, we do. So this might help. We might use this for the... I could zoom in here. Let's see. We can, yeah, we can. We don't need weather. Well, we'll get to the location. We'll get to the actual terrains in a bit. All right, now whispers bring words of dark tidings from afar. Maybe I'll make this just to cheat, and comma. So I have 3 sentences. Here in the hinterlands, local lords displace regional governors. Okay, now whispers bring. All right, here we go. Life is hard Scrabble. You take. Life is hard Scrabble. You must take what you can from the lands. Okay, and I'll just get this. So, got some good stuff. Orb Codex says, if a local river is suddenly dried up, what is this, magic? The dungeon could be a now exposed cave system. Did the players go in? What if the river suddenly starts flowing again? Well, interesting stuff. So first we've got the campaign setting. And, okay, so we're going to see, right, is broad shades of, say, Rome, the fall of Rome and the different provinces that got plunged, I don't want to say into darkness, but just plunged out of the sort of relative order and stability of being part of the empire to back to the kind of their own devices, right? Super cliche, but who cares? So we're just going to go with this. It's roughly 3 sentences. It's been a few generations since the old empire fell, and here in the hinterlands, local lords displaced regional governors as the infrastructure broke down and individual towns and villages became isolated. Life is hard Scrabble. You must take what you can from the lands. This is kind of, so, actually, let me just finish reading it. So now whispers bring word of dark tidings from afar. So here we have a couple of things here. I'm kind of breaking it down, sort of 1 sentence each. First, what's happened up to now, very broad strokes. There was an empire. It's been a while. It broke down. Things became isolated. Past, leading up to the present. In the answering the question of, well, what is it that we're doing? You are trying to take what you can from the lands. You want to get ahead. You just got to go for it and grab it. So you don't want to be a dirt farmer. How do you not be a dirt farmer? You're going to have to adventure. Basically, you're going to have to go out and find something because you're not exactly going to be getting any gifts. And nothing's easy. And then potentially in some kind of campaign or what might be kind of going on in the world, well, we don't know, but dark tidings from afar. And we could probably, if we knew better, we might want to add a little bit more detail in that. Maybe something has risen, a new something. If we wanted to have sort of some kind of equivalent of the Huns are coming or something like that, we could. But we just dark tidings from afar. Whispers of things that are not good out there in the world. We can, you can go into many more details later, but this gives us a good kind of starting point, a little bit of almost an elevator pitch, if you will, to our campaign, gives us some solid footing. As far as the starting settlement, yeah, I'm just going to go with what you guys came up with, which is great. We don't have a name for this town yet. I don't know what kind of name we got. So it's an aqueduct, so it's water. Let's call it Water Pass. I don't know, we can come up with some later, but we'll just start with Water Pass. I mean, in real life, that's a lot of our names, just goofy names, came from this small village that was, let's see, what did we say? It was built up and around the remains of an aqueduct. Let's see, what other sentence should we have? So we're saying 3 sentences. Maybe we can have a Let's see, Elfbait says, the aqueduct was part of my idea for the starting town. See above, I had a sort of Miyazaki-style township in mind. Sure. Maybe. So that's kind of what it is. Let's see. Who rules the town? Maybe a what was it? Is that right? I think that's right. A council of elders. Let's see. Rules the village. Here we go. I'm going to put a little note in here. Though none are old enough to have seen the aqueduct in that none remain who understand stand the aqueduct seen it in operation. Small village that was built up and around the remains of an aqueduct, though none remain who understands the aqueduct or have seen it in operation. A council of elders rules the village. Old Team Patrol says, who rules Bartertown? Ah, but if only, maybe the aqueduct got their own master blaster running around. Elfbait says, water merchants? Well, I was thinking maybe something that's happened here, which is something that I guess interesting. Maybe it's a sort of first mystery, is that recently water has begun flowing through the aqueduct once again. A mystery that perplexes everyone. How did I do on my sentences? I mean, we don't have to stick strictly to 3 sentences, but I like the I appreciate and like the discipline of it. I think that's, yeah. Small village that was built up and around the remains of an aqueduct, though none remain who understand the aqueduct or have seen operation. It's ruled by a council of elders. Recently, waters began flowing through the aqueduct once again, a mystery that perplexes everyone. So there we got a central thing. This could help us in the future if the party needed some direction or if they just need some little push of mystery, because Whispers of Dark Tidings is great, but it's not anything that you can't start the campaign with just, all right, you're in the town. There are Whispers of Dark Tidings. Go. It's not enough. You got to either be ready for the details when the party goes, we go ask somebody what these Whispers of Dark Tidings are. If you don't have anything and you just go, ooh, the bartender says, yes, they are whispering about tidings that are dark. Okay, so this gives us something that's a lot more local. It's going to feed into the 2 things we have here, because we have the mysterious site, which is, in our case, the ancient giant aqueduct. So this leads naturally, in a sense, to when they're in town as the game starts, and someone may ask, what's going on in town? Does anybody need anything? Has anybody lost their cat? If somebody need rats kicked out of their cellar, we could talk about what the effects of this mysterious water is. The aqueduct is broken. Maybe it's broken around the village so that water's dripping, and they've set up various things to catch the water. Something like that. That might be something to look. Ooh, that's an interesting thing, and that's something. But people want to know kind of what it's about. So this gives a very interesting starting situation that the party can just readily jump into, rather than something that's much more far off. The mysterious dark tidings may ultimately, in some grand campaign way, tie into the flowing of the aqueduct. I would presume that it would, but it's not enough to start off with. Whereas just figuring out the mystery of the aqueduct and what might be related to there might work, or would work. Let's see. Elfbase says, sounds good, but imagine the panic as water begins spilling out of the broken aqueduct into the town. It doesn't have to be giant spillages. Maybe I imagine that it's drips and drabs. I mean, sure, you could make it something more apocalyptic for the town as there's just tidal waves of water coming over. But I imagine it more that there's just these drips and a lot of dripping. I guess I am, and just the way I'm envisioning is most of the aqueduct is still intact, but there's just kind of some holes and things that were seeps now, cracks and crevices. There's water's coming out, not wholesale just flooding. Though you could go that way too, and depending where you want to put the flood in the actual town, maybe they figured out a way around it. Maybe there's now a pond where somebody's house was. Maybe they're digging canals to reroute the water somewhere else. Who knows? I mean, that could be, all those things could be true. And then Orb Codex mentioned that, yeah, maybe it gets stronger over time. Absolutely. But those are all ideas that we would take this, and then depending on what the party does and how we feel about it, run with it, right? So we don't need to worry about that right now. We're all about just setting up. We're trying to set up just the very basic elements of the hex crawl, and then however they want to deal with it. Yeah, Elfbait, maybe they set up water wheels and things like that. All kinds of things they could do with it. Just not quite concerned about it right now. It's for later. That be for later. All right, so on to the mysterious site, which is the ancient giant aqueduct. We could think about what might be here. So the abandoned workings of the aqueduct. I think if I were to look up, let's see, if I look up Roman aqueduct, I imagine they're not very complicated. Not very complicated structures. So I wonder what else. Maybe we can have something. So we have the aqueduct itself, but it's going to look mostly like this or that. And the nice thing is, let's see, what's a good image? This one looks suitably biggened. So we got the mysterious. We got that, but we might want to think about, maybe it's not just maybe the mysterious site is something on the aqueduct. Brian Smith says maybe a nest on top with a weird egg. Slicarius likes Orb Cotex's suggestion that the water is getting stronger. I don't know. I mean, I don't one thing we didn't set up really is, I don't even have my conception if this is more or less medieval, or is it some kind of different? Is there more kind of steampunky elements? I'm wondering, like, is there anything? I imagine that there isn't, or maybe there would be. Let's say there was an aqueduct that had two paths and like a train thing, where you could pull, that part where they pull the lever that tells the tracks to go from one to the other. Maybe there's some similar setup with different things. Maybe I don't want to step on the dungeon, because I imagine maybe the aqueduct heads into a mountain, and that's where there's some of their stuff is, and there's that would be the dungeon. I think, keep in mind too, the dungeon doesn't have to relate, where we don't have to line everything up in a linear way either. If we recall, in the Chicago Wiz's examples, the second one did lend itself to thing, but we kind of had to create that. We don't have to, and maybe there's something that people fall into maybe too much, is making everything into one linear path, right? So all this stuff is all connected into one thing, and I think that works fine. If you're trying to have a more narrative campaign, that hey, we have one kind of big mystery here, and each piece is a little mystery, but we can also leave those for later, or leave some enigma that the dungeon just could be a dungeon. For right now, it could be something completely different, and so it gives the party the advantage of that. It gives the party kind of two things. If they're not into the aqueduct, let's say, because that can be a problem, right? So we set this whole thing up. Oh, the town's beneath the aqueduct and all this stuff, and the party looks at aqueduct and goes, "Meh, what else you got?" Then having the dungeon be another element of the aqueduct suddenly is just kind of part of that thing that they weren't into anyway. And so you either then it either gets that feeling, even if we're not technically doing it, of sort of like, no, you will go into the aqueduct story, that kind of railroadiness kind of thing, or something else. So we want to be careful of not making everything like too linear path. Like, we love this aqueduct, great, but maybe we should come up with a different element for the dungeon, at least to start off with. I like the idea the aqueduct is big enough for boats to come through. And maybe there's and I think certainly in terms of kind of down the line stuff, if there's enough water flow and stuff to get boats through, maybe even the town, which right now doesn't have any way to get up the rigging, it's like in the picture, it's just up there, that they might want to get up there. It could even be something that the party can get involved with when they want to speed downstream somewhere, is the aqueduct. But let's maybe think of the dungeon and what's something else that could be around that's not related, at least immediately, to the aqueduct, to give the party kind of a second place to go. The abandoned workings, or the abandoned, I don't know, body, the abandoned structure of an aqueduct. It runs for miles. Oh, you know what we should probably do? Hold on a minute. Maybe we should think about, maybe there's a giant cistern. I'm trying to think of what the site is, because I'm thinking about, and the aqueduct is going to be something that ranges across a large portion of our geography. So it becomes less of a singular location than almost its own type of terrain, or just a location is going to repeat. So thinking about like a change station, or maybe you could set the turn the lever, right? And we think about, well, what was the inciting incident that led the water to start flowing in? Maybe somebody had gone and turned the lever from going one way to going this way. You know, that could be something. I'm thinking maybe a cistern of some kind that they could run into. I don't know if there are any cisterns. Maybe I should put ancient cistern. I don't want to see ads for. These are all underground. I'm thinking they might have to do one up. Is it possible that they had these above ground? What's that? Oh, I kind of like this. Ancient wells in India. All right, I'll check that. I'll check that in a minute. Let me throw this in here. Need some ninjas? Always need ninjas. All right, let's see. Elfbait says, so you have critters surfacing, attacking farms in the countryside. Maybe it's not immediately apparent where the water goes. Not our problem. That's a good idea, too. All right, let's just, I'm going to tag that in there. Let me look at ancient Indian wells. Ooh, those are pretty. Oh, those are lovely. Let's see, what's a good image? Stepwells? Ooh, look at that. Now that is lovely. Demonic salmon going upstream. Yep. Demonic salmon going upstream. Where did the demonic salmon go? They go upstream. All right. Ancient giant cistern. Let's put step well. Invasion of the salmon people. They're terrible, but they taste delicious. Okay. They really do look like populated with demon salmon. I mean, definitely if we wanted to bring in kind of a Cthulhuoid, deep ones or whatever they could be, yeah, strained. I mean, that would be interesting, right? That this maybe we could interesting that this cistern / stepwell is now filling with water. Strange things now seem to be stirring in the shadow When the water reaches Yep. Elfbait, I was one step ahead of you. So the mysterious site now, we have a ancient giant cistern / stepwell, the abandoned structure of a cistern. So let's try that again. The abandoned structure of a cistern now slowly filling with water. Strange things, I don't need now again. Strange things seem to be stirring in the shadowy depths. When the water reaches the top of the well, what will be released into the world? Dum, dum, dum. All right. Yeah, it could be an aboleth or something similar. It could be a whole combination. Who knows what? Someone mentioned strange eggs. Maybe that they could find that different levels, these kind of eggs hanging out there. So that's our mysterious site. I'm just going to add in there, this is connected to the aqueduct. And just because I'm going to look this out here, it's technically outside the purview, but I kind of like the idea, and it sort of feeds in here, that there was a water routing station. Because this is basically just for our memory. This is not the dungeon. This is the mysterious site, Ryan Smith. The dungeon we're going to do momentarily. Let's see. Working that routed water between different, let's see, different paths of the aqueduct. Someone has recently rerouted the water to, what do you call that? It's called a water pass. And this turn. There you go. I'm just kind of making this note. We don't need to do this. It's kind of beyond the purview, but it seemed too. Come on. Okay, so we still have a dungeon. Now, my suggestion is to not have the dungeon be directly or immediately related to the cistern. Something else. I did like the idea that that water pass, that this is overrunning the sort of overrunning water from water pass is now dripping down into some place that's now been disturbed. So we'll call it a cave network. Or I'll call it flooding cave network. We are going with a water theme here, but I guess that's okay. Let's see. Yeah. Water overflow from the aqueduct into water. Ugh. Water pass has been, let's see, rerouted out of the village, but it has now been flowing into a cave complex. The water has disturbed something in its depths. Maybe that works. I mean, is that too similar? Are these two sites too similar with two things that have been disturbed? Let's see. Romaine asks, the cistern could be one of the ways in. Could be. Like I said, one of the things I want to do is make sure. So remember the exercise here, building kind of the starting hex crawl, is I don't want to make things too linear. I don't want everything to be connected super immediately to everything. I wouldn't have a problem if there was some way that the cistern and the cave network, though I'm envisioning the cistern kind of built above ground. Like if this were not like So the aqueduct is running high. I mean, I suppose it could be a hill or something, but maybe the cistern's kind of actually built up, even though it has the same shape. It could be in the ground too. It doesn't really matter too much. Maybe there was a natural hill and they just drilled down into the hill. But I like the idea that this inciting incident of the water flowing has kind of started things rolling. But I want to be careful not to, again, just make everything super linear. Because part of the whole joys of the Hexcrawl is that you can kind of explore. And I don't want it to feel so much that you're getting sort of pushed into a singular story. Let's have multiple stories. And then we can and then as you're playing along, you can build the connectivity between the story. Slackaria says, a drain or something that drains out into the cave network multiple ways out of the best though. Yeah, I mean, remember we're not into designing the dungeon, and maybe we'll fold this in with the with our dungeon delving series, and we can get into doing the design of the dungeon. None of that stuff matters out now. Could be a mine. I'll just put it. Has been rerouted out of the village, but now flowing into an old mining complex. So we'll just leave it there. And remember, mines also very a cliche. Don't care. Could be mines. It could be natural caves. Who knows? And you know, and we're just doing again for demonstration purposes. I'm not going to get too far into it. If this is myself, I might sit there and run around in my brain a bit more of, okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? I don't really want to mine. I don't really want this. So what could it be? I might end up coming around and saying, okay, I don't want it to be part of flooding at all. It's just something else. But I do like that there's this kind of thing we can look at and say, hey, this started the ball rolling, and then it's the ripples of this effect of somebody cranking that whatever that thing to turn the water has had a bunch of stuff. Brian Smith says these aqueducts for irrigation travel. Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, I would say yes. I would say I like the idea that they're large enough that people can go apart. But remember, we're not. Those details are to come. We're just trying to get the basics down. But yeah, I think we could have a lot of fun with how the party decides to utilize those aqueducts once they kind of get it in control. Temple dedicated to the elders. We could make that part of water pass. I'll just add that in real quick. It's a good. I don't think maybe we didn't say anything about religion. So let's say there's an ancestral worship temple. Just add that as a note. But remember, we're not trying to get super in the weeds. We've got our 3 things. We actually have now a few more than that. So we're good. We are good. And other than dithering around, it probably took us about 35 minutes. And we've got our campaign. We've got our starting settlement. We have got 1, 2. We got 4 things here. You got the ancestral worship temple. We got the dungeon. We got the mysterious site. Fam Zoom. We got the water rerouting station. So we are good on stuff. So let us now, we're going to take these and we'll move to Hex Kit. And I'm going to go, let's see if we can, do we have natural features and phenomena? Let's just go here. Let's see if we have, what is this? Oh, phenomena. Okay. I think I just want an actual terrain. Oh boy. Yeah, I forgot how much in the weeds we could go. Hold on a minute. I really want D30. What I really want from you is I just want a D6 or something to tell me what kind of hex we should have as our starting hex, where this is taking place. Can you oblige me? Do I need to go to Hexcrawl worksheet? Will that work? No, that ain't it. I don't want to spend. One thing I don't want to do is waste a bunch of time looking for tables. Let's see. Trigger, obstacle location, Abby location feature. Well, it's 2. All right, I'm just going to pick. Anyone want to pick? Brian Smith says, high stakes gambling den in the dungeon, kidnapped a noble and they're part of the pot. Could be. All right, let's put that away. All right, so I'm just gonna go. Oh, I don't know. What kind of tiles do we have here to choose from? I can't make this window bigger, apparently. I have to do it that way. Yeah. All right. We've got meadow. Sure. There we go. Meadow. And let's find our. Where's our town? Put our town there so we know. Those are. What is that? Does that say? Do they give us a highlight of what that is? Anything else seem more appropriate? All right, I like that one. Oh, it whited it out. All right. So there's our town. No. I'm not going to put the river in yet. Or maybe it's the layering. Oh, you know what? That's what I did wrong. Ah, see, I got to remember all that. Give her all my tricks. Let's go. So let's see. I think I can do this correctly now. Where was meadow? So we're going to do meadow there on the base layer. We'll go to the locales layer. Now we'll put our town there. Actually, I like that. I like that one better. Aha! All right. Chicago had a few things in between hexes. Yeah, in one of them, it was one of the locations. So it wasn't an extra, but yes, the monastery was in between the location, the town area, and the forest. And then he had one thing that wasn't part of the location, but he had that bridge. The placement, I don't care. Like if you wanna sit there and put it in between, like Hex Kit is not gonna have a good ability to stick something in between two hexes, and it doesn't really matter. I think if you just write in the description, hey, it's on the edge of the grasses in the forest, to me that's fine. You know, I'm not gonna get caught up on that. It's not really impotent as to where these things were in particular. In particular, so now the aqueduct can basically be under any kind of terrain. It doesn't matter. I'm thinking if the cistern, I think building it on a hill would be good. It just, to me, that just makes sense. Let me see if I can find a hill of some kind. Pharma, let me go make sure I'm back in that base layer. Ice flows, mixed forest, mountain. Do we have a hill in these mountains? Nope, that's literally mountains. Volcano, swamp, ocean, river, mountain, muddy bog, mushroom, meadow, jungle, mixed forest. Oh, there it is. All right. We'll go, let's just say it's kind of east-west. All right, I'm blocking myself. Okay, so you got the town. We have the cistern. Let's see if there's, I don't, icon-wise, I'm not sure if I've got anything good in this set to throw there. I don't think we're going to have something amazing. Do we have just something general? Let me see if there's something kind of generally we can use. I don't want to get just strung about on that. Oh, there, look at that. Wait, does that work or is there something even better? These kind of have a more peculiar look, which not peculiar, but ooh, that one might be even better. Ooh, Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter. Let's see. All right, I'm going to go with, where was it? That one. Change the locales. Bam. So we've got the town, and then one hex over, we have the cistern, and let's go back to the base layer and our cave. Oh, shall we put it in? So I'm always a big fan of having some different terrain types. So I kind of like, okay, we got a hill with the cistern, or potentially hills. Maybe it's moving into a hilly environment in general. So let's think about, we'll do some, why don't we just do some forest? Stand back on the base layer. And here's where, look, you just put it wherever you want to. There's no, I'm going to put it there. There's no rhyme or reason, really. I mean, sure, you could look at, well, if water's flowing from here, elevation is we're going from sort of the coast is down here somewhere, mountains up here or whatever, just locally, water's flowing this way. Maybe the water's flowing through that. Maybe that makes sense. Actually, I was thinking of going the opposite way, but maybe this way makes sense. Going from east to west, and then water's kind of running off. Look here, and then we can go back, and do we have a cave? What kind of icons do we have here? Could put that. Ooh, what's that? Creepy hole thing. Looks like a hobbit hole. Maybe that works. Let's go back to locales. Let's throw that in there. There you have it. So that, in essence, is we got one more thing. So we have the changing station, right? So where should we put the changing station? It kind of makes sense. We'll do more meadow. Well, that's kind of an interesting one. Let's see. What else we got? I like that one. Oh, that's on the locales layer. Oh, I keep putting things in the wrong layer. Hold on a minute. How do I delete? Okay, there we go. Gotta remember that. Got to remember. Get that same one. Gotta tease me, not give me the one I want. All right, that's fine. Now we go to locales. Find another layer. We need that kind of changing station kind of thing. Sure. Call it. I don't know. What? Oh, look at that. We actually have. That's kind of cool. Bazam. Now, there are our three tiles. We've got the starting tile, which doesn't count as one of the 3 tiles, and those 3 tiles. Now, I was thinking maybe originally to use the Welsh Piper's method for filling in things around, but we didn't really need it. But that's because I kind of had some, inspiration. I had some ideas. I have some thoughts in my own brain of kind of how I want this to look. I remember that Dungeon Master Masterclass in the comments of the last stream said something like, the three hexes thing is kind of enough, and you don't need kind of methods and things. But not that I disagree with them, but it's easy to not need them when you have a lot of stuff on your own. And it's easy to say, hey, look, just come up with 3 things, and it sounds great. But if you're having trouble coming up with the one thing, then coming up with the 3 things, it seems like an impossibility. And then on top of those 3 things, the terrain is another few things. And if you don't have the inspiration, you don't have the idea in your brain, nothing's coming to mind, then you're back to that basically blank sheet of paper problem. And that's where having tables, that's where having some methods of saying, do this, do that, the other, and the next thing. Yeah, for a lot of folks, once you get into it, you will not need it. But when you're just starting out and that inspiration is really hard to come by, and you might not have the kind of almost muscle memory of having played and done these games for ages and ages and ever and ever, then having this kind of stuff works. Just to kind of, like I mentioned before in the other stream, I like to kind of fill things in a bit. So I'm going to put some more forest over here. I'll put some more. I really just want to just flesh this out a bit. Some hills, and we'll put another meadow. Bam. So there we have a kind of nice, hey, whichever way you're looking out, you're in town, looking around. Got these kind of open grasslands. And remember that the Gygax 75 talked about having a secondary settlement of some kind. So maybe we'll just, and I put that in the wrong tab again. Oh, the horror. Hold on, I keep forgetting to do that. See, these are the things that. There we go. And then I got to clear out this one. Oh, I put it on there again. Oh my gosh. Somebody stop me. Somebody stop me from myself. I'll do that. That was meadow. I'm on base now. Forest. There we go. And then maybe we look like, or we want to have, we appreciate the idea of having a secondary location. So maybe now we'll take one of those little towns, and there's another. Hey, it's good farmland, so we'll throw another little village hamlet, maybe just a couple of just isolated farmsteads over there. LP says secondary settlements could be expansive farmsteads with loosely connected farms irrigated by the aqueduct. Could be, or just natural water. Because remember, the aqueduct has not been in operation before. So maybe it's just the water of the land. Though they could also have a problem. We could also talk about they've got a problem because now maybe their lands are getting too much water. Awesome map. All right. Love that we're calling it an awesome map. Let's call it Water Pass is the map. Let's export this map. Oh, I mean, I don't know, GM facing, I guess. We'll save that. Also, just put that pictures. Save. Then I can go to pictures. There it is. Oops. Go here. Let's see if this will work. Can I drag you onto there? Ooh, I can. All right. Tank Pal says, "Go glad I'm doing Hexcrawl work again." Oh, thanks, Tank Pal. Hey, I like to do other things besides Hexcrawls. And I don't want to get buttonholed too much into just being the Hexcrawl guy. Because goodness knows I'm probably going to want to take a break from Hexcrawls again for a while. Or just run out of, what also happens is run out of inspiration. So it's nice to be able to have some different things to do. But I do enjoy me some Hexcrawls, as you obviously know. All right, so here we have our map. We made a little ring. We've got some forest. We've got our cave. I don't think there's a way for me to link these up. I don't think I can. Unfortunately, I don't think I can integrate, like put a thing there. No, I can't do that. So we know. So here we have our center town, which is Water Pass. So actually, you know what I'll do? Let me just let's go through this from the beginning. The campaign. It's been a few generations since the old empire fell, and here in the hinterlands, local lords displaced regional governors as the infrastructure broke down and individual towns and villages became isolated. Life is hard scrabble. You must take what you can from the land. Now whispers bring word of dark tidings from afar. So there is our campaign overview. When we are starting out in the village of Water Pass, which is a small village that was built up and around the remains of an aqueduct, though none remain who understand the aqueduct or have seen it in operation. A council of elders rules the village. Recently, water has begun flowing through the aqueduct once again, a mystery that perplexes everyone. And then we just made a note that maybe one of the features of Water Pass is that it has a temple for ancestral worship. The dungeon is a flooded cave network created, not the cave network's not created, but it's flooded from water overflow from the aqueduct that was going into Water Pass that has now been rerouted out of the village. It was an old mining complex. The water has disturbed something in its depths. And then our mysterious site is an ancient cistern / stepwell. The abandoned structure was now slowly filling with water. Strange things seem to be stirring in the shadowy depths. When water reaches the top of the well, what will be released into the world? And we also talk about a related point, which is the water routing station, where somebody hit a switch. Maybe the water routing station would be on one side of here further down. Hit a switch that routed water between different paths of the aqueduct. Someone has recently rerouted the water to water pass in the cistern. Tank Pal says, asked me what mind map software. I hadn't mentioned it, Tank Pal, so it's not a terrible question at all. This one it's really hard to see the URL. It's called, I guess it's pronounced Ouija, like a Ouija board, or Weehy. I don't know. I don't know, but it's weje.io. I've used a couple different whiteboards. This one, it works pretty well. One thing I try to do is I try to grab sometimes some of the apps that do lifetime deals before they start, instead of doing kind of pay by month things. So I'll look for things that I could use that have some kind of lifetime deal that look like they're not, going to vanish tomorrow. And this is one I picked up because all the ones I found at this point, they're all pay by month, or you get limited to 3 boards or something like that. And I wanted to have more because I enjoy using them for the streams. And I didn't want to pay monthly. I just rather pay, pay one fee. I think what happens with these lifetime deals is that they expire and then they charge everybody else monthly. So I don't know if you can still get a hold of this one. They may periodically have more lifetime kind of signups. I don't have anything bad to say about Ouija or Weehy. It's got everything I need. I'd be interested to see what other features come up. So far, it's usable for me. It's maybe not quite as pretty as I forget the other one I was using, but I don't have to. I'm not limited to the amount of boards I can use. And I don't have to do anything. So it's working out so far, and it's working great for these kinds of things. So there we have it. So we're almost at the bottom of the hour, and I think we did a pretty good job. I was hoping we might have some time to get to some things like creating some rosters for monsters and things like that, but ultimately, yeah, we spent about an hour, and I think if we were doing this individually ourselves, assuming we didn't go down rabbit holes of our own devising in terms of wanting to just flesh out a bunch of stuff, that's part of the discipline too, because I know it's even happening here in the chat. People want to jump in and the aqueduct and just go down this thing, which is amazing, right? But part of what we're trying to do, I think, for ourselves, and certainly as kind of a demonstration, is to reel that back again, make notes if we want to remember stuff, but try to remember, like, what we're trying to do is get this whole kind of thing built out and not end up having spent our whole night on the aqueducts and not have anything else kind of prepped. So in this case, we did a little bit more than, strictly speaking, the three hex system. We did flesh it out. We didn't particularly use the stuff from Welsh Piper, but not really because I didn't want to. I just in this instance, I didn't feel like we needed it, but I think that everything we have in here would match up with the kind of guidance that we get, which is we have some grasslands, forest, is kind of adjacent hills. Those are all things that tend to come together. Mountain Biker 78 asked, what hex program did I use? I used Hex Kit, which is here. And this is, I believe, the Fantasyland icon set for Hex Kit. You can get it on itch if you happen to. I forget which. It was part of that one of those big humanitarian bundles a year or so ago. So you might, check it out. It's if you search Hex Kit, it'll come up. You may have it if you bought one of those bundles, the humanitarian bundles that might be in it. If not, I don't know how much it is, but it's a good program. It's really good for this. It makes really pretty artistic hex maps. It's not as functional in just it doesn't have a lot of the features just in a functional way that, say, Worldographer has. And the concept of zooming between layers and all that isn't there. But for something this kind of quick and simple and regional, it works really, really well. I actually was going to use Hexographer, but it was hard to get this. It was honestly hard to get this kind of layout without going overkill. Some weird things were happening. So when you're creating a map in Hex Kit, you have to create it at the lowest level you can create it as the kingdom level. And I could have just done kingdom level and just not going any deeper, but I wanted to get to the province level because I thought it might be interesting if to have things to zoom out to. So I didn't want to have a weird spot where we didn't have all the levels of zoom. But then when you zoomed in, it just seemed to me kind of weird stuff was happening. So I decided, well, let me pull out Hex Kit because I haven't used Hex Kit a while back. I don't know if Romaine asked if it was part of a Humble Bundle. It wasn't. There was on itch. Let me just go to hold on. I'll just go to that itch page. Let's see. Where was it? Okay. So, see, it was included in the bundle for racial justice and equality last year. That's what I'm talking about. It wasn't a humble bundle. It was an actual itch bundle. So you may have it if you took part in that. And this is the one I think that had. I want to say this thing had like a million different products in it. I mean, it was really wonderful. So many creators threw stuff into this bundle that I'm constantly surprised by things that I'm interested in. That if someone's like, "Oh yeah, it was in that bundle," and I'm like, "Really?" Because you never have a chance to look at it because there's a million things in there. So check out the bundle. You might have Hex Kit already. So what do you think? I mean, how did we do? Does this seem like would you if you got this as kind of your starting stuff, or let's say you were on, I don't know, Roll20 in the LFG group or LFG on a subreddit, and someone posted these bits, maybe mostly the campaign and here where you start, and maybe a couple of hints about these other places that sound, and threw you this map as kind of things you're aware of. What do you think? Is this something you would roll with? I think as a GM, do you think this is enough thing that you could take this and get started? I mean, I certainly think there's a lot of stuff going on. And of course, as we keep going, you can we have this forest here to fill out. We have these hills here to fill out. And of course, then we can start increasing the radius as we go along. But this was it. We created a simple Hexcrawl. There's lots of details that we will have to fill in and things we want to think about. Things like wandering monsters and what's in these particular things, what's in the cistern, who turned the flow of the water on. Is there something going on with these villages? How does that do? What's in these hills? Right? There's still lots of questions to ask, but this is all about just getting that basic framework, your basic setting, your basic background for your Hexcrawl, and then you will take this and flesh it out however you will. I will post the map. I will post the these text snippets. I'll post it on the forums, on my forums, so you can check them out there and grab them if you want and mess with them. And I would love if folks, I don't know if do anything. Maybe I'll feel compelled to go, and maybe we'll keep this open, and then we'll come back in another week or so and do some more work. This can be kind of I think that's probably what we'll do. This will probably be we'll just keep working on this and just adding to it, and it can help demonstrate different things about hex crawling. Other than that, that's about all I've got. If you like this, I'd love on your way out if you could subscribe. If you're not or give a thumbs up, give a like to the video, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Tomorrow's Friday, so that should be the OSR Reddit roundup. So come on back for that. That's all I have for now, folks. Hopefully this was useful. Hopefully this demonstrated the techniques that we talked about in the last stream. If you missed the last stream, it's the one that's chronologically before this one, but it's the one also on a best starter Hexcrawl, so you can check that out. Oh yeah, Cinco de Mayo, Ovaltine Patrol. Have a great Cinco de Mayo. Everybody have a great Cinco de Mayo. And even if when you end up watching or listening to this, it is no longer Cinco de Mayo, have a great rest of your whichever day or night that is. Game on, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.